Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of y'all, and peace out to the rest of you. You already know who it is and who it ain't. It ain't your boy and it is your man's, the blackest hearted, blackest minded, blackest man on social media. Signing, blacking, and shining again, asking you to hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. I got hands-free equipment this time so I can talk if the phone is on record and I don't pick it up. Problem is that there's still something else that I want to point out, and that is that I haven't tried this yet. I'm using a microphone that's hands-free, and I'm not sure if it's going to work or not. I don't know what I'm going to sound like until I come back to listen to this. When I posted on Facebook about why my son is forbidden from approaching Western sisters and how things are only getting worse, were evidenced by Trinidad and Tobago's attitude towards the adulterous Mrs. Das, an imam at first was going to ask me, why are you going so hard in on black Western women? But then I realized that you were just speaking facts. You weren't making anything up. Shout out to this imam. Well, the issue comes down to this. You don't have to hate someone to avoid them because they've been taught to just be so harsh and mean to you. You can avoid them simply for your own safety. What's so bothersome about it is that, frankly, yes, the Western woman in general has been taught to be difficult to men. And frankly, it appears that each race is the most difficult to their own. People just tend to be more careful. I mean, if they're willing to give a man of another race a chance at all, they're usually also going to be more careful. So, I mean, there are some white women, plenty actually, a lot of them, that ain't gonna give black men a chance. But when they're dealing with black men in general, they're probably going to be more polite and more careful because they understand there are going to be some cultural differences. And so it makes it easier for them to get together, although staying together is probably something altogether different. When each one deals with their own race, that sense of caution and politeness is over. People go right back to exactly what they should not do, which is making the absolute worst assumptions about whoever it is in front of them. But internally speaking, it is worse amongst ours than amongst many others. However, secondly after us would probably be white folk. Anyway, hatred is not necessary. But the question has to be asked, if you start off by saying this, with the way that sisters are, if you start off saying something that is not flattering to them, why does it seem like hatred is about to come out of your mouth next? And the answer for that is strictly and plainly, because we've been taught by sisters, whereas others have been taught by their women and their men. We have been taught almost exclusively by sisters, so that certain things are just not allowed to be said, and they're yet ever so true. They're just not allowed to be said. And so what is the case is that in other cultures, the men are allowed to say certain things about the men, and the women, both genders, are allowed to say certain things about each other away from earshot of each other, and sometimes to each other's faces. When it comes down to it, in the black community, that changes. The little boy grows up unallowed to say certain things, unallowed to think certain things about the women and the girls. It's not all of our boys, but it's too many of them. The little boy gets older and he can't be stopped from thinking these things, but then he's still not allowed to say them. And this cultural expectation continues on until we're in our 40s. And some of us internalize it, so we will neither think nor say the things that need to be said in order for us to even teach younger men what they need to know. Sisters have built a matriarchal culture designed to do nothing more than to protect their secrets from discovery by the men who most need to know these things. And frankly, I look at something like that and I say, how dare you not only lie or cover up things that you want a man to know, but then build an entire culture and set of cultural institutions around protecting the secrecy so that the men won't know the very things about you that they need to know, that you wish they would know, but you don't want to tell them. See, I can't think of an older conspiracy than that. Now, I'm one that believes in conspiracies, but I can't think of an older one than that. The oldest conspiracy I can think of is actually this one, predating the West. That's just simply women being all secretive. I don't respect that sense of privacy anymore. It's individual privacy I respect in men and women. But men, we must lose the sense of respect for that secrecy that the gender has, Western or Eastern. We must lose it. The difference is that outside the West, if you don't know, you know what? They fucked the shuck up, evidenced by their sexual silence in many cases. And they ain't always as sexually silent as what they're stereotyped to be. But in many cases, there is the sexual silence. i.e., they may not simply publicize what it is that they want from the men below the belt. I'm not saying they don't have these things. I'm not saying they don't have the discussions. But if you want to go, sit and think about this. Do you think that you would get Arab women on TV right now to talk on the TV about what they want from men? Now, you wouldn't get them to do that. However, because you would not, if they are married to a man that don't know his way around their lady parts, and she ain't gonna tell him, then you know what? It's not his fault. And that is one thing that is understood here. I mean, men, I'm sure if most husbands here would like to be good lovers, but at the end of the day, if she can't open up and say what she wants, she can't get it. And she knows that leaving him means she's gonna have a harder time finding another husband. And if she's gonna have a hard time finding another husband, and she does manage to find him, she's still gonna have to do exactly what she wasn't gonna do with the first husband, which is open her mouth and say, hold up, I'd like you to change the angle. Or, you know what? Hit it from the back. That's the end of it. Which she will not tell one. She understands she's gonna have to tell, it means she's not gonna tell the other one too, so she just ain't gonna get it till she can open her mouth up and say. That's the end of it. I can't sit up here and say the same thing for the Western woman. The Western woman will talk about what men don't know, what they wish men knew and understood. The Western woman will do all of these things, say all of these things, present all of these problems. However, she still won't open her mouth and tell her husband. They'll talk about how bad the men are at this, but they won't necessarily say what these men could do to make themselves better, except and unless it is something that doesn't involve any pleasure for the man. Then they will open up. And it dawned on me eventually, that's why Western women are vocal about oral sex. It's not because it's better for them, it's because it is nothing to the man. That's why. And it even got Western men proud of this. It's not wrong, I'm not saying that. I'm simply saying that the psychology behind it isn't even what we think it is. It may be pleasurable to her, but I think most of it has to do with the fact that it is not pleasurable to you. And this is part of why it is I've been saying you gotta leave the Westerners alone in general. It's part of why you don't catch me telling you to go and get you that mayonnaise mafiosa to replace that sister. You don't hear me saying that. You hear me telling you might not want to do that, because what happens is that the sister gets certain things from the mayonnaise mafiosa, but then she takes it to a different level. See, I said in my last upload that, pardon my French, the word Klingon bitch is not a racist term against black women. It denotes women that like violence, that like violent men. And that's another thing. When I said that my son's not allowed to approach Western sisters anymore either, I'm extending this to my son. When I said that, another reason is the hybristophilia. One of the reasons I mentioned was the hybristophilia. But to expound on that, you got to stop and think about how it is that they so freely get on social media and say, I want a retired hood ninja. I want a retired hood ninja. I want a ninja that's still hood. They don't seem to understand what they're asking, what they want men to do to meet their approval. And shout out to BGS Ibmore for expounding on this too. What they want men to do to meet their approval is always the exact same thing that will get that man thrown behind bars for years, if not a lifetime. Beat a nigga, shoot a nigga, kill a nigga. And I'm not saying this because I'm calling us that. I'm saying this is how they view us. They want one nigga to beat, shoot, and kill other niggas behind their honor and go to jail for life. Even death row. This is what they want. And the funny thing is, if the police pull them off to the side and ask them, well, what do you know about this death of this guy? Because we know y'all had an argument. What you know about his death? They're going to sit up and tell that you did it. You let that hybristophilic Klingon bitch of any background come home to you talking about what some man did. You need to go out there and handle it. I mean, you don't even get to finish your sandwich. You need to get out there and handle it. She fussing at you like you did the stuff, like you the problem. And you let her come home and tell you this and send you out there. If you survive, you're the one that's got to stand in front of a judge. Now that's if you get caught. Now let's say you go and you catch this dude in an alleyway. Nobody knows y'all are there together. And not only do you go upside his head, you mutilate the body. Now you can't tell her because you can't tell anybody you did it. So if you tell her, then you the man, you her man, but then to validate herself in front of her friend, she got to tell somebody that you did this stuff. That's the first danger right there. Even if she fucks the shuck up in front of her friends because she knows somebody might snitch, she gonna snitch when them cops come to her. They may pick you up. You say, well, you know, that matches the description of the man that she said did something to her, but I mean, I never saw him till you showed me his photo just now. They pick her up, she down 2 interrogation rooms away. Yeah, my man did it. And if you don't let me go, he gonna do the same thing to you. Yeah, he hacked her body up. Let me out this mother cuss word. And I know because there's a guy from my neighborhood that went through that. Boy, this was all the stereotypes. He got one white parent. I think his dad was white. I don't know which one it was, but one of his parents was white. So he half black, half white. In our neighborhood, got involved with some messy wannabe street chick. She wasn't even that hood, I don't think. Got involved with that messy cuss word. And then to make matters worse, she wanted stuff. So he break into the houses, and he broke into somebody's house and killed the man because the owner surprised him. So he killed the man, got out the house. And then when the lady got picked up for some little something, some small like shoplifting or something, she didn't want to go down for shoplifting. So she sang like a bird and gave him up for the murder that he committed, trying to burgle someone's house to get stuff to impress and keep her. He wasn't built for that. He wasn't street. Now he's in there for life. This dude gonna be. I'm shocked he ain't on. I'm shocked he's not on Parchment's death row. I wonder how he did with them conditions up there a few months ago. But yeah, man, that's it. He ain't getting out. He ain't gonna never see a breast or a nipple again. This is a cultural, this is a community issue. This is not just one or two. It's not just the ones he be choosing. It ain't just the ones that we be choosing. That's what's out there. It's not all that exists, but that's what's out there. That's what you can meet outdoors. You want to meet someone better than her? You got to bust up in her house to meet someone better than that. And that's a home invasion. So, I mean, that ain't going to work either. Point is, all the good has been shut away from black men when it comes to this. And one reason I talk about this and not so much the other stuff is because black men can do better in other areas of life by making different decisions. They just need different information. This is not one of those things we can simply know better and wind up doing better. Because this is one of those things similar to a job market that is against you. You got a mating market out there that is against you, black man. It's against you if you're the thug that will be her attack dog. And it's against you if you're not. And this is part of why it is that they lessen the standards and the restrictions when they're dealing with non-black men. And if they're willing to deal with non-black men, they usually go straight to white, and we know they relax those restrictions. They get him a non-black man, he ain't got to be as thugged out. That's part of it right there. Black man, the biggest conspiracy you may have faced, ironically, the biggest conspiracy and the oldest conspiracy that we may have faced may have never started with anybody from the outside. I hope that this has been a benefit. Thank you for listening. Black heart, black mind, black out. Assalamu alaikum and black heterosexual non-select male power and black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day.